Welcome to Toni Unleashed, the podcast where we unleash the truth about all things pets.
Our research and anecdotal evidence matched with pet expert interviews will help you help your pet thrive.
We are here to answer questions, divulge information, and spread awareness about what's really going on in the world of pets.
I am your co-host, Emily Taylor, pet nutrition enthusiast.
And I'm Toni Shalasky, owner of Healthy Pet Products with 3 locations in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, and recently expanded to Port Charlotte, Florida.
Welcome to the show.
Hello and welcome back to Toni Unleashed, the podcast. Today we are continuing our conversation on baked kibble. We talked about it briefly in our last episode and focused mostly on the benefits of lower fat, ash, phosphorus, etc. for dogs that may need a special diet. So today we're going to dive into this topic a little deeper and ask our guest some questions that might help our listeners decide if a baked kibble might be good for their animal.
Today we have Carrie Lionel with us. She works for Lotus Pet Food Company. Lotus has been a family-owned and operated company since 2003. They have since then made it a consistent goal to have very high-quality pet food that is a great option for almost any cat or dog with or without health issues. They offer exceptionally palatable cans and raw food, but today we're going to specifically talk about their baked kibble line. So let's get into it.
So Carrie, hello, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Awesome. We've been having tons of fun with this podcast and really love the fact that we're able to get good information out to pet parents. And we go back pretty far. But I don't know, how many years have you been with Lotus?
So I just passed my 7-year mark with Lotus, which is pretty impressive for
the industry.
Yeah, in the industry, yeah.
And what about the pet industry in general?
So this year, about this month, I'm celebrating my 18th year in the pet industry. So I started right out of high school. I worked in retail for 11 years, started in big box, went to small box, and that's where I met the president of Lotus, Darren, and got the opportunity to move to Florida and take this position. So it's been an amazing ride. I've met a lot of amazing people like you and have learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I love having you on our side, especially, with the retail background that you have, you see both sides of it, which is helpful.
Definitely. Working in retail for so long, you get to see what the customers need. And I really feel as if I have an advantage to some industry people who haven't worked in retail, because I know those cat customers that come in and those weird dog questions. So those are the questions that I can dive in with Lotus and be available for you guys to be able to help the customer at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And this wasn't in our script or anything, but I remember last time we had a training with you specifically, you mentioned your knowledge and your how much you enjoy talking about cat stuff. And we haven't really hit cat stuff yet too hard. So when we're asking you these questions, feel free to go into the cat stuff and why your food is for cats and dogs.
Okay, I'd love to do that.
We've been pretty dog heavy.
Yeah, but that's a trend that I see a lot, and kitties need some attention sometimes. So I'll be happy to talk about it again.
So I know you have an adorable son that has 2 legs, not 4. But what 4-legged children do you have?
So we have 2 dogs. The most recent addition to our family is Daphne the Dachshund. I actually adopted her from one of my accounts in North Carolina. So she has been so much fun to bring into our house. And then we have another dog, Scarlet. We rescued her off of Facebook, of all places. And I don't specifically know her breed. And then we have a whisker friend, Mr. Max. Or Maxie, as we call him. He's our cat. So
any health issues, and what do you feed?
We do not have any health issues, knock on wood. So for the kitty, he eats our Lotus raw food exclusively, and he does amazing on it. And then the dogs eat kibble, mostly the Lotus oven baked kibble. And I love to top it with any of our cans and some of our raw. Right now they're eating the fish oven baked kibble, and I'm topping it with our new raw green tripe, which they have loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can have a whole episode on tripe.
We will have a whole episode on tripe. Did you have trouble getting your cat onto raw food?
I did not, because we got Max as a kitten, and I know that cats are imprint eaters. So my main mission was to offer as many different options, canned, raw, kibble, as I could. And we are very lucky that he will eat anything that we put in front of him.
See, my cat is we call our cat the garbage disposal, because like he'll eat, raw food that one dog won't eat. He'll scarf it down. But
it's nice.
It is so nice. He does go crazy for Lotus's sardine raw food. Like crazy.
That's what I'm feeding Max right now.
Yeah, that's a favorite.
So, Carrie, you want to hear something funny?
Sure.
So I won the toss up. Well, I win because I win, but the podcast, our studio had to be in my house because I am very allergic to cats. But because Emily was pushing for her house.
Yeah.
And then thankfully after the studio was set up, Emily's like, I feed my cat raw.
Did it help? Did you try?
Well, we haven't tried it yet.
We're going to.
We should take all this equipment and do an episode at my house.
Yes.
And wait and see when you react or if you react.
Yeah.
I would love to know if you did react. I hope you don't, because that really says even more, for the raw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually read an article, and I don't know where the article was, and it's been a long time, years ago, but there was an article about a study done that raw fed cats, people that have allergies, their dander is different, and you don't react the same.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to do a test.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Keep me updated on that. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so diving into it, let's start from the very beginning. Just basics. What is Lotus's definition of baked kibble, and how does it differ from extruded kibble?
So oven baking to us is cooking just like you would cook at home in your oven. It's on a much larger scale, of course, but it takes about 7 to 10 minutes from start to finish for our oven baked kibble to be completed. And that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but that actually is a fair amount of time in terms of manufacturing. So the other option for making kibble is called extruded, and that can be completed in about 2 minutes. So we call it a low and slow process. The internal temperature of the kibble gets to about 160 degrees. So that's just hot enough to cook out any pathogens from the poultry or anything like that, but not hot enough to denature the ingredients or the nutrients from the ingredients. And that's really what's most important when you're looking on the back of a bag of food. What ingredients are in this bag of food? Well, you're looking for good ingredients because you know that the nutrients are there, and that's retained in the baking process.
So the way I think a good analogy is, we used to boil our vegetables and now we steam our vegetables because the nutrients aren't cooked out. And when we boil them, they are. So curious, the whole scientific backing and blah, blah, blah bullshit.
Yes.
But is there any data anywhere that truly proves that baked kibble is more nutrient dense compared to extruded kibble?
Yeah, we do have data for that. So one thing that I have always loved about Lotus is how transparent we are, and we're not going to make a claim unless we do have something to back it up. So we did have a third-party group come in, and they did testing on our kibble before baking and then after baking. And what they really looked at were the essential amino acids, because that's what's really important for our dogs and cats, is the entire chain of amino acids being intact in their diet so that they're getting everything that they need. And what that study proved was that the oven baking process does keep it intact.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys do any digestibility testing?
We do not do digestibility testing right now.
But anytime you bring out a new product, you actually test it on your own pets, right?
We do, yeah. So we get questions a lot about what we do for feeding trials or things of that nature. And what we do is we test it on our pets. So a few years ago, probably close to 5 years now, we switched our oven-baked cat kibble from grain inclusive to grain free. And my cat at the time was a lucky taste tester, and she was a raw-fed cat as well, and she would not touch kibble anymore. So I put a little bowl of food on the table, and I hear this noise one day. I was like, what is that noise? And I go in, and she was eating it. So I knew that it was going to be really palatable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's how we taste test. We've all got dogs and cats, and Darren, the president of the company, he's got a little army of four-legged babies at home too. So he does a lot of the testing for us.
Well, I remember him telling me when you were working on developing the raw food, how much his dogs loved it and how well it was going. So I was very excited to bring it in when it was time.
Yeah, and Darren rescues geriatric chihuahuas.
Oh my gosh, that's my dream.
They're probably some the pickiest dogs out there, I would say, chihuahuas in general. So he's got a good pack to test the food.
I actually have I run a nonprofit dog rescue, and I actually have a 8-year-old Chihuahua that's in a foster home that came from like a really bad hoarding case. And I met Alyssa. She was at our Healthy Pet Day, and she had samples, and I was like, hey, can I take a can or two to see if this foster, because he's a Chihuahua and he's like not really eating or like drinking a lot of water. And he's been on pretty much exclusively just Lotus, and he scarfs it down, and his tear stains went from dark red and yeasty and gross to like minimal. And I sent her a picture, and I was like, this is like within weeks of this dog just eating Lotus food.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I've actually heard that before. So one of the other benefits of baking is that it reduces the amount of sugar load or glucose load that the dogs receive. So we have a lot of really good feedback for those dogs that have those yeasty tear stains, or like we call it like Frito foot when their paw pads really start to smell oily. The oven baking kibble can really reduce that a lot if the customer can't do raw exclusively.
Yeah.
And you guys have really high quality, you source really well your proteins. So can you talk about that and like the importance of high quality proteins in kibble? Because a lot of people just see like chicken or deboned chicken or something and think, oh, it's probably in their mind, they think it's a great, like a chicken that's just in a field, but it's not.
So our bakery that we use, it's a family-owned bakery, and it is in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So the kibble is made in Canada, and because it's made there, we get to hold up European Union standards for all of our meat. All the ingredients, I should say, but all of the meat is sourced from Canada. All the fish in our sardine and herring recipe, those are wild caught. We do use some meal in our formulas, but we're really proud to say that we use mostly fresh meat. And that helps keep down certain minerals for dogs that have other illnesses. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit here. But yeah, ingredient sourcing is very important to us, and we are transparent about that. So we really try to get the best possible ingredients for our kibble. And I think that shows with how healthy the pets are that eat our food.
Well, what's frustrating, those scientific studies, I mean, the protein could come from shoe leather and their studies show that it's still complete and balanced and AFCO approved. Yep. And it fucking does matter where the protein comes from.
It does. I think that matters most, especially now with some of the things that have been going on in the industry in the past couple of years with DCM and things like that. It is actually very important that protein comes from animal sources instead of like your peas or your legumes, things like that. So all of our kibble has quite high animal protein, the percentage of protein coming from animal versus plant ingredients. So.
What is the difference between like European standards of processing and quality versus American standards?
I think it's just a cleaner. There's a lot of ingredients that are not allowed in European standard manufacturing. So being made in Canada, I believe, gives us a cleaner and a better advantage for ingredients and keeping the pets healthy on that.
It seems like the American way.
Well, that's another episode, I feel. Yeah. I really do.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you touched on minerals, which brings us to ash content and phosphorus levels. And this is really where we can talk about your cans and cats. With your formulations, how do we achieve that low ash, low phosphorus level?
So the way that we achieve that in our dog kibble is exactly what I said. We use mostly fresh meat. So the oven baking process allows us to use that fresh meat. In the extrusion process, if you have too wet or too heavy of a formula, the extruder simply won't work. So in the oven baking process, because we do. So all of our formulas have at least 40% fresh meat in them, and that's just the first ingredient. And a lot of our formulas don't have any meal at all. So meal is the rendered portion of said animal, whether it's chicken, lamb, venison, what it might be. It's the rendered part of that. And what they do is it's ground into a powder. So people might not know Actually, a lot of people think that chicken meal is dehydrated chicken, which is not the case. It is in a powdered form. When I first got hired with Lotus, we were given some chicken meal in a little plastic bag that we had to carry around to really help educate the staff at stores what chicken meal actually was. And you could feel little bits of like bone in there. So in layman's terms, chicken meal is the carcass of a chicken put in water, all boiled down, and then ground into a powder. So you're still getting a lot of really good protein out of that from the chicken muscle meat. There's cartilage, ligaments, but then of course you have the whole entire carcass or the skeleton of the chicken that is involved in that meal. And that's where you get higher ash content. That's where your magnesium, your phosphorus, and your calcium comes from. So if you have a diet that's too high in meal, you're going to have higher ash content.
Mm-hmm.
So because we use more fresh meat, especially in our senior diet or our special needs diet, that ash content can remain really low because there is no meal in it, which is great. And it can help. So in the kibble, the senior kibble specifically for dogs, it can help dogs that have like the beginning stages of any sort of kidney issue. It's not going to cure kidney disease or anything like that, but it certainly can take some of the load off of the kidneys.
My words exactly when I talk to customers. But don't we feel like that would benefit cats especially as a lifelong diet?
Like low ash content?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest differences for me is that cats are true, strict, obligate carnivores, and they really do not have that enzyme in their gut to break down carbohydrates at all. And they actually kind of suffer a little bit if they're not getting any additional moisture in their diet. So while oven-baked kibble is great, we do advocate for at least a supplementation of canned food, whether it's a small can, half in the morning, half at night, something like that. Any moisture that you can add to a cat's diet is going to be beneficial for them. So in a perfect world, our cats would eat a raw diet. But we know we don't live in a perfect world or a cheap world for that matter. But any moisture that you can get into their diet will help. Because cats do suffer from kidney disease significantly more than dogs.
Daily. Yeah. We talk about it daily. And it is getting that ash content lower. That is the key. And they need it from day one.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And synthetic load down too, to some extent. Mm-hmm. And supplement. I mean, their kidneys are so sensitive and sometimes the ash content and everything can be just way too harsh.
The right water.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want too high of a mineral content in the water either that they're drinking.
But if they're on a raw diet, they're probably not going to be needing to drink as much water.
You know what? My cat, he gets his moisture from his diet. So, I mean, here's me going on talking about cats, like I said, but I will touch on this. But cats are desert animals. So cats really have not evolved from their ancestors as much as the domesticated dog has. So if you think about your lions and tigers, these are desert animals. So when they are thirsty, they're hungry. So they're getting all of their moisture. There's not a pool of water for them to drink out in the wild.
Even if there was, when you see dogs drinking water and you see those slow-mo videos, they're like, their tongue's like cup under, like a little spoon. But when cats don't have that ability when their tongue. So it's like they're drinking water with a knife because their tongue can't scoop up any water and absorb it. So they're still not getting a ton of moisture from water if they're just dependent on drinking it from a bowl or the faucet would probably be the best.
It probably would be. Yeah. That's why those fountains are real popular.
Oh, so, okay. So here's me. Don't have a cat. Never had a cat.
Yeah.
Allergic to cats. So I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have that little like sandpapery tongue. It's just.
Well, I knew that. So why is it sandpapery?
I think to tear apart meat and ligaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just further says your cat should eat a raw diet. Yeah. Our raw diets are amazing.
My husband was like under the impression, not under the impression, but society standards and the way marketing tells you to feed your cat was like, he needs to have some sort of kibble. He's hungry. He needs to eat that. He likes it to be crunchy. We hear that all the time. They like the crunchy. And I was like, dude, no, but like, whatever. Like, I'll get him on, we had him on Lotus kibble. We'll put him on a good kibble. And then I'm still going to feed him cans and raw. And then he got his first UTI at a super young age. And I was like, nah, we're done. We're done with the kibble. He's just been on raw and no UTIs, no nothing.
Yes, I have had experiences like that in the past as well with feeding raw and kibble's easy. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh.
It's really convenient to pile up a bowl of kibble and a lot of people get cats because they're not needy.
Yeah.
You put kibble in the bowl and you forget about the cat, until the next time they're screeching that the bowl's half empty or whatever it might be. And I've had experiences like that in the past where it just became a convenience thing. Like, I'm gonna stop feeding cans now and just do the kibble. And this was before Lotus, but the cat got a UTI, but and that we went straight back to raw, and the cat never experienced a UTI again after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what about blockages? Why do we think blockages happen in cats?
Too much mineral content in there's a couple of different blockages that happen, but the biggest one is too much mineral content in that kibble. So AAFCO standards for cats are different from dogs. So in even our oven baked cat kibble, we have to use a certain amount of meal to reach that threshold of protein that AAFCO requires for cats, because AAFCO does know that cats need more protein than dogs. And really, the only way to get that is to put more meal into the diet. And then that's where you run into your higher mineral content.
So we should probably define AAFCO. I think we've done it in prior episodes, but for our listeners, AAFCO is the Association of American Feed Control Officials.
Yes.
Feed. Not food. I know.
Feed. Did I say food?
No. I'm just saying like
feed, because
feed and food are different.
Tell AAFCO that.
Right.
So they not only, Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, they not only govern what our feed animals eat, but also our pets.
Yes. Everything.
Yes, everything.
Can you? Yep. I should probably know this, but can you sell? Like, could I make dog food in my kitchen? Put it, in a bag and sell it without getting approval from AAFCO?
You can actually, but you need to formulate the diet to meet AAFCO standards. So truly anybody can do that. And that's, I will say that's not the greatest thing, out there. Anybody can do it, but you need to formulate your diets to meet AAFCO's requirements. But the better thing, like we do, we have a vet that formulates all of our food for us, and he works he's a professor at Kansas State University. So he works with actually, if you didn't know, there's a program at Kansas State University. If you ever want to get into making dog food out of your kitchen, you can go there and get a degree in pet food science and make your own pet food. But Dr. Greg Aldrich is our veterinarian on staff, or he's not on staff, but he formulates everything for us.
Since when? Like, has he been with you guys a long time?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So he and Darren probably have a very good rapport.
Oh, yes.
So he formulates your raw food too?
He did.
Wow. So he's open-minded.
Yeah, he's great. He's awesome. He goes to the big trade shows.
Oh.
He does formulation for, I don't know who else, but I know that he does do it for some other good quality pet foods out there too.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
I think we're at the part where we ask, what is your most common customer? I think we sell a ton of your senior kibble because it meets a lot of the standards that people come in asking for when their dog has kidney issues or even like diabetes issues, like diabetes, or they want to be on like a senior diet. Their doctor told them whatever. We usually are just like, meh, you're good with senior Lotus. It's gonna check all your boxes.
Senior. So we do have a lot of kind of little niches in our brand that help a lot of pets out there. The senior diet being one that a lot of great stores, like the stores that you have, will recommend a lot for those dogs that are having some ailments. But our number one seller is our small bites chicken. So although we do have a lot of niches in our foods, I would say that our most common customer is your average dog.
Yeah.
Because oven baking truly is different. It's better. And I think a lot of people, especially since the pandemic hit, are thinking about not only their own health, but their pets' health to get them to live longer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Do a lot of your customers rotate through proteins?
I do not think that a lot of our customers rotate through proteins, even though I highly recommend that. I do think that that's
your cans are so easy though to like rotate through and just buy a different can each time.
We sell a lot of cat cans. We have a lot of real unique proteins in our cat cans. So we have a single protein rabbit, a single protein venison. And we put the venison out, I think in 2017. And that quickly shot to the top of our best-selling cans, even though it's, chicken is typically the best seller for everything. And that used to be our best seller. But that venison shot up there, and we are making so much of those venison cans, and it helps a lot of cats that have IBS and IBD, any kind of gastrointestinal issues, just allergies in general. That venison formula does great.
Carrie, we have so many customers that walk in and literally just like go down the line and just two of all the different proteins for their dogs and their cats.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
So I think this is the year of supply chain issues. We have been affected by it. I know other pet food companies have been affected by it.
Turkey is the big one right now, right?
What was that?
Turkey. Everybody's.
Turkey, we have had some issues with turkey. We've had some issues with pork as well. We are producing the turkey raw again. But, it's important because when you do run into issues like this, you don't want to have a picky cat or a picky dog and not be able to get their food. So I really stand by rotating, at least the protein.
We agree 100%.
Yeah.
And since we're kind of on the can topic, I do want to let everybody know that I personally have been to the cannery in California.
Yes.
Yep. Darren, the owner of the company, invited me out, and I literally hand-packed cans on the line. I literally saw the raw product going into the processing of everything, and it was truly like grocery store chicken that humans would eat. So it was an amazing experience that I'm very thankful to Darren for.
Yes, I'm thankful that you got to go out there. I think that that's one of our most unique aspects as a company. Definitely our most proud aspect as a company is that we do own and operate our own cannery. And we actually make our raw there as well. So it's very unique. Most pet food companies do not get the opportunity to make their own cans. They rely on a co-packer. So we're very proud of that.
Yeah. And fortunately, so I've been in the pet food industry 14 years now, and fortunately, my job has gotten harder over the years to pick and choose what pet foods to carry,
which is a good problem.
Yeah. It is a good problem, but what I have kind of really coupled with quality of food is the support and the relationship that I have with the company and the owners of the company. And Darren when you go to a show and the owner of the company knows your name, hugs you, all the reps know who you are, like that. I know that I can pick up the phone and I can get whatever I need. That means so much to me, and I love you guys, and I'm so thankful for that.
Well, we're very thankful for you as well. I do love the fact that Darren is so involved in everything.
Yeah.
His office sits with a window looking into the cannery. So he is a very hands-on owner. His heart, his soul, everything is in this. He really wants to do the right thing and continue doing the right thing and be a family-owned business. There's not a lot of true family-owned pet food companies out there that aren't backed by private equity, which at the end of the day have the final say on what you do. At the end of our day, Darren has the final say on what we do, and he is always going to pick the better thing to do.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, you don't really see that in America in general anymore.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
It's
pretty
great
special.
to be part of this company. When
That's why I've been there for 7 years.
That's why I've been here for 7 years. Yeah, I do hear it a lot. Like, wow, that's such a long time to stay with one company. But I wouldn't stay if they weren't treating me well and we didn't have a phenomenal product to offer. And at the end of the day, it's really helping the dogs and cats. And that's where my passion is.
Same with us. Same with us. So, Carrie, I think that we would love to have you back on at some point. But is there anything else you want to tell our listeners before we sign off?
We covered a lot of great things. I think just a quick rundown. We're a family-owned and operated business. We own and operate our facility in Southern California where we make all of our own cans. We do all of the raw ourselves as well there. And then the kibble is made up in Canada. So we're doing the best of the best that we can. So
I'd like to add that you guys offer a lot of great coupons.
Oh, yeah.
You guys always have coupons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sign up on your website, I mean, I get emails for coupons all the time.
Yeah, so we have a really great newsletter program. So any customer can go to www.lotuspetfoods.com. There will be a little pop-up right away that will ask you for your email address and I think your zip code. And then you'll start getting coupons from us. So there's special coupons that will come out for holidays. And then every month we send a coupon out along with some really cute information about whatever the subject at hand is. And then we just started a blog on our website as well. So
cool.
We're trying to expand as much information as we can and get it out to pet owners so that they can do the best they can for their pets.
We always have coupons at Healthy Pet Products too. So if you guys are listening to this and have never tried Lotus, come to our store, ask for a coupon. We have a ton of samples as well. And just try it. Use it. I like to recommend people using, because you guys give us some really nice size sample bags, and I like to recommend just using it as treats. Mm-hmm. Use it as treats and see how your dog likes it, and slowly, get them used to eating it as a food and go from there. And those sample bags are perfect for that.
Yeah, one thing that I have noticed with Lotus is once the pet eats it and the owner sees how their pets love it, they're usually hooked for life. I mean, we've had countless customers email in and say, this is the second dog that I'm starting off on Lotus. My other dog lived to be X amount of years and ate Lotus their entire life and was very healthy. So we've got a lot of good feedback on the brand.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think, again, for our listeners, not only is Lotus Pet Food a fabulous food in the canned category, kibble category, and raw category, but it's a great company full of great people and that support small business across the country.
Your packaging is so cute, too.
Yeah.
I know that's not really relevant.
I can give you one more little tidbit. So Lotus stems from pet retail. So we started as a pet retail in Southern California. So it initially was our house brand, an oven-baked house brand, because the stores knew how important it was to have an oven-baked kibble. And then we noticed that there was a hole in the market. So we went into distribution. And of course, now we're across the United States. We're in different Asian countries and Canada. But that's where we started. So we know, I came from retail. In fact, every single one of our sales reps used to work in pet retail.
Oh, good.
So, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. So we know the importance of family-owned businesses, small business, all that. So.
And when you have staffing issues and have to reschedule a podcast recording.
We totally understand.
Carrie, Emily was so worried. Emily, she was like, "Can you tell Carrie for me?" She's like, "I feel terrible."
I'm
like,
person you need to be worried about.
Exactly. I'm like, Carrie is totally going to understand.
I was like, just shoot her. Maybe it should come from you. Maybe you should just shoot her a little text.
Oh my goodness. That's so funny. No, I'm the last person that would ever have an issue with anything, really.
And when I saw Darren at Global in March, we talked for like a half an hour. We bitched to one another for about a half an hour about how frustrating it's been trying to keep things going with being short-staffed. So I'm like, we got this. And Carrie's cool as shit, so don't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. I love doing this. I love chatting with you guys.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for doing so many of our trainings too with our stores. Those are huge.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you.
I love educating people so that they can turn around and educate the customer.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. That's what we're doing. So thanks, Carrie. Please tell Darren I said hi.
I definitely will. Let me know
when this airs.
This is live so he can listen.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.